Jikaze, jikaze, African father, jikaze, America. Jikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javanokelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining us for an amazing session of the Daily African Proverbs. We are here on YouTube and we are also live on Clubhouse. And today I am truly privileged. I have a special guest here with me, all the way from Jamaica, Natalie Kotesi, an amazing Jamaican poet and, just a wonderful leader, a wonderful friend. And I'm excited for today's session. We want to learn about Natalie's story, the work that she does as a poet, especially some of her accomplishments with her book of poems, Sky Juice. We are going to talk about that. Natalie, I would also like us to talk just a little about Africa Day, since you participated last year, and I'm hoping you're going to participate this year. So, how are you? Where are you joining us from? Let's start with that.
Okay. Alors, bonjour Simon. Merci de m'avoir invité. It's always a pleasure to be with you, Simon, on this program, which I love with a capital L. I am in sunny Jamaica. As you can see, the sunshine is beaming through my office window. It's a hot beach day, clear, no clouds in the sky. And so Africa Day was a great experience for me last year. I think I did a couple of sessions with you last year, Simon, and I was really very impressed on how you managed to pull together so many important voices, not just globally, but in particular, I think with the Caribbean diaspora. And I thought that was really well done. And I felt very privileged to be a part of that and to have that discussion about how Africa continues to live on in the Caribbean. So, yeah, looking forward to doing it again this year.
Man, I would love for you to actually help us curate a few more leaders, artists, and people that you think should be there for Africa Day this year, because the Caribbean, quite a few countries in the Caribbean are celebrating 60 years since independence, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. So,
Yeah.
so it's 60 years for Jamaica for sure. 1962 was a big year for a lot of countries who gained independence from the United Kingdom. So definitely. And Jamaica has two very important dates. August 1st is Emancipation Day, so the official day on which slaves were emancipated from slavery, which happens to be my birthday. and August 6th, which is Independence Day. So that's really the one of, I suppose, more political importance. So in Jamaica, that's celebrated typically with a huge parade and effigies, and every year there is an annual cultural competition and festivities for the different areas of the cultural and creative arts. And so it will be a very exciting time to see what fantastic creative works our Jamaican artists have come up with this year for Jamaica 60. So looking forward to that as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for everyone who is joining us. We have a few people joining us on Clubhouse, and everyone who has joined us on YouTube. Thank you so much. If you haven't met Natalie before, Natalie Kotesi is a Jamaican poet and the 2020 winner of the Caribbean Writers Marvin E. Williams Literary Prize for a new emerging writer for the Helper Experiment, published in the Caribbean Writer Volume 34. Wow. Now listen, Natalie, is just an amazing gift. And I want you, Natalie, to share with us your thoughts on a Somalia proverb. I know you're Jamaican, but we have a lot of connection between the Caribbean and Africa. especially when it comes to literature, when it comes to poetry. Somali is actually one of the hubs for poetry. It's one of the places where Swahili poetry originated from. If you know Taarab, that kind of music, and also Shairi originated from Somalia. Anyhow, our proverb for today is from Somalia, and it says, if you want to dismantle a hedge, remove one thorn bush at a time. If you want to dismantle a hedge, remove one thorn bush at a time. And I want you to think about, what this proverb means to you, but also think about a story from your childhood that this proverb reminds you about. So while you think about that, I want to share a few things about this proverb. When my team and I were planning this session, we thought that this is a proverb that could teach people about emotional intelligence, which is a skill that, can help us in many, many ways to thrive as human beings. So we listed 7 tips that this proverb can teach you in order to help you just boost your emotional intelligence. So number 1, understand your emotions and how they affect your behavior. Number 2, learn how to regulate your emotions. Number 3, take responsibility for your own happiness. And number 4, practice self-compassion. Number 5, be assertive, not aggressive in your communication. Number 6, embrace change and uncertainty. And number 7, cultivate empathy. Now, we are going to create a blog post after this conversation around these 7 takeaways. So check out the Raise Your Consciousness blog on my website. There are a couple of other articles there already. If you want to get to my website, the best way is to go to my Instagram profile, and through the link tree, you'll be able to get to my website. Thank you so much. Now, back to my conversation with my wonderful guest, Natalie Kotesi, who is joining me from Jamaica. Share with me what this Somali proverb means to you, and also a story from your childhood, that it reminds you about. And, when I'm asking this question, I'm also hoping you can paint a picture for us of, where you grew up, your favorite colors, your favorite food, you just described the ocean in a very beautiful way earlier. So I'll let you just, take us away.
Okay. Well, Simon, when you sent me this message about the proverb you wanted to focus on, if you want to dismantle a hedge, remove one thorn bush at a time, it immediately brought to mind the local Jamaican proverb, which is one cocoa, full basket. One cocoa, full basket. And, one of the things that really, I would say, just it makes my skin catch a fire when I think about your program, is how this African retention has remained in Jamaica, because Jamaicans almost never answer you a question straight. We almost always answer with a proverb. So it's interesting to hear the echo of the proverbs that you share in your program and how we have adapted them here in Jamaica. And so for me, I think this is a very straightforward one, which is, you have to do things incrementally to get it right. There's no quick fix. There's no easy way to attain what you want. It takes slow, committed, dedicated, consistent work, but you'll get there one step at a time. And this really is what I take away from this. It implies for me also that you have to have perseverance, that you have to have vision, that if you can see where you're going and you keep walking towards it, you'll get there. And I think this is a very, very important lesson for Jamaica and for Jamaicans and how we have arrived at 60 years of independence. as you alluded to earlier. It didn't happen in a day. It was hundreds of years of slavery, even more hundreds of years of racial discrimination, social discrimination. But a little at a time, one piece of legislation after another, um, eventually, the sun comes shining through the window. And so I think this is a very, very poignant proverb that is one of universal value. And I'm really glad that you chose this one. Um, I am reminded of a story of when I was a young teenager. I was very outspoken, spirited, and I almost never took no for an answer. I'm not sure that has changed, but um, so in my teenage years, I wanted to participate in this international intercultural exchange program for students called AFS, an acronym which stood for American Field Services. And AFS started actually with two ambulance drivers after the Second World War. And their idea was that they wanted to attack the monster of war by promoting world peace, and they felt that they could do it through having cultural exchanges with young people across the world. And so AFS has been going now, as you can imagine, for maybe 60, 70 years as well. And they exchange hundreds of students across the globe, and they've been doing it for years very well. And so I wanted to be an exchange student. I wanted to go on AFS. And at the time, I remember it was obviously a lot more money than my family could afford. And I thought, oh my goodness, how am I going to go on AFS? And everybody kept saying, yeah, well, you're never going to go because, how are you going to find the money? I was like, you know what? I'm not having that. I'm gonna figure it out. And I thought, okay, let's break it down. If I need, I think at the time it was something like, say, $2,000. And if everybody gave me, if I got, 10, 20 people to give me like $100, how hard could that be, right? So I went around and I went from person to person, business to business. And, I remember my dad of blessed memory in particular, he was just like, well, don't look at me. I was like, that's all right. I didn't ask you anything. I just told you I'm going. So get ready. And by the time I got back to him, I said, okay, Dad, I have, like I would have said, I have got $1,650 and I need 2,000. Now, what are you saying?
So
And you know what?
I
I
want
went
you
on
to,
AFS.
I
One
want,
focus,
yeah,
one thorn bush at a time,
yeah.
and my dream came true. I spent a year in Quebec, and it was fantastic. It's an experience that completely changed my life. That's where the French started, Simon, in Quebec, and I've not stopped traveling since, one country at a time.
Wow, as you're speaking, I was so tempted to interrupt you so that I could ask you to share with us how you convinced the first shopkeeper or the first person that you met during this fundraising
So,
effort.
wow. I just explained to them that, this program was bigger than me as an individual, and that if I was fortunate enough to go on this program, that I would help other young Jamaicans to go on the program and increase their opportunities to, you know, enhance the lives of not just them but their families when they come back. It's a really significant domino when you take one individual from a community and you give them an opportunity to live in another community, and then they bring that knowledge back home. Everybody then becomes a part of that experience. And all my friends who went on AFS have all gone on to be very, very successful people. AFS is still going on, it still exists. Unfortunately, it doesn't exist in Jamaica anymore. But there are other countries in the world where you can still go on AFS. If you're between 16 and 18 years old, you can go away for a year and live in a family. And the families are volunteers. So my family hosted AFS students who came to Jamaica from different countries. We hosted a young man from Italy. We hosted a young lady from France. We hosted a number of students who would come to Jamaica and maybe not have a very nice family in the beginning, and we were always the backup family, you know. Um, but the big message is that we're all just people, you know. Somebody else's family can still be your family, and your family can be everybody's family. And in the end, language itself is universal if you take the time to learn it, you know. So there you go.
Yeah. Man, interviewing you is just so amazing, and having a conversation with you is truly a privilege. I just want to say thank you for how you de-escalated the beginning of our time together, you know. Because you are able to be so honest about it, but in a really gentle way. Yeah, I was also freaking out. For those who don't know, you know, I had to restart my computer before our session started, so I could not reach Natalie, and you know, I was trying to find her through Clubhouse, but the app that I use, Ecamm, for live streaming on YouTube was restarting. So how she's a real Jamaican, you know. She's a real Jamaican. Anyway, if you're just joining us, my name is Simon Javan Okelo. I am the host of the African Father in America podcast, and we are here on Clubhouse Monday to Friday. We took off April, and that was really, really good. And so this is the second week since we began doing the daily African Proverbs again. Thank you all for the support. I want to pin the link to the YouTube conversation so that those who are on Clubhouse can also join us there. But I'm hosting a really, really special guest, Natalie Kotesi, who is a Jamaican poet, and we have been learning, we learned about her interpretation of a Somali proverb. The proverb says, if you want to dismantle a hedge, remove one thorn bush at a time. So Natalie shared with us, what this proverb means to her, and she shared a Jamaican proverb that also, is very similar to this. One cocoa, full basket. Natalie?
One cocoa. Yes. One cocoa, full basket.
Perfect. Yes. Anyhow, now we want to continue on. We've actually learned about a couple of stories of how this proverb also reminds Natalie of her childhood, and now we want to go to one of the projects that Natalie has recently worked on, Sky Juice. But Natalie is really quite an accomplished poet, and I feel that we need like 2 hours to have a real conversation with you and break down some of this amazing work that you've done in Jamaica and across the world. So before we start talking about Sky Juice, just take us through your journey as a poet, and also as a leader. What would you like all our brothers and sisters who are listening to this conversation to live here that they've learned about you, before we get into the Sky Juice conversation?
Well, I suppose my journey as a writer also very much reflects the proverb that you've chosen today, Simon, because my first collection of poems, Fried Green Plantains, is in fact a collection of, I would say, the vast majority of the work that I've written so far, for years, that went unpublished. Fried Green Plantains was only published in 2017 after years and years and years of trying to publish my work. And rejection after rejection after rejection after rejection, and I just kept on. I just kept writing and writing and writing, and for every no, there were three more poems. And so it's a story of really trying one thorn at a time, one rejection at a time, trying to arrive at my goal. I would say that's the story about me as a writer. And once Fried Green Plantains was published, it was a big turning point. And then, with the encouragement and the positive response I got from that book, Sky Juice came fairly quickly afterwards. So Sky Juice was published last year, and then I was able to get a publisher, and then the award from the Caribbean Writer, which you spoke of, and then this year I got invited to read my work at the New Orleans Poetry Festival. So I was a part of the New Orleans Poetry Festival. That was just 2 weeks ago, last month in April, and it was amazing. It's led up by Bill Lavender and his partner Megan, and I was able to spend a couple of days with an amazing group of artists and poets, and just really fantastic. I'd never been to New Orleans before, and it was really a spiritual journey as well, going to New Orleans and seeing, I would say, a place that seemed familiar, but it was not not like Jamaica, but somehow it didn't feel like the United States either. It somehow felt kind of Caribbean, um, and just really um, taking the poetry to another level, and receiving all the love from the audience, from an American audience, for work that is really steeped in Jamaican cultural imagery, and to realize that actually, the work has a universality that could touch people that were not from my space. So that was really significant for me. I would say the high point of Sky Juice so far. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing as a creator, as someone who put all your heart, like the no's and the rejections produced this body of work, and then seeing the response that you get from people who you've never met before. That's really powerful. That's really powerful. Yeah. I just want to quickly, check in with our audience on Clubhouse. Thank you all for being here with us. Thank you, Tiff, for joining us. I just want to continue on having a conversation here quickly with Natalie, and then I'll bring it to you in 4 minutes. I want to come to you, our Clubhouse audience members, and just hear your perspectives on this proverb, and any comments to Natalie. Natalie, I actually want you to pick your favorite poem and just read it for us now, if that's good for you. And then at the end, I'll ask you to pick another one also from Sky Juice if you want, and share it with us. Is this a good time?
Yeah, sure. That's fine.
Perfect.
That's fine. Well, I will, let's see. Let me read this one, and I'll think about which one I'll read next.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
So that's the cover for those of you who are looking. That's Sky Juice. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah,
Not getting it right. That way.
Yeah, that's perfect. Then move it a little far. There you go. The other way.
What am I doing? I can't get it right.
Right there. Oh, no, you took it back. No, keep coming. Right there. And then lift it up just a little. Right there. So that's the cover of Sky Juice. And where can those who are watching get a copy?
Okay, so it's available on Amazon online and Barnes and Noble online. And there are a few physical places you can buy it. So if you're in Jamaica, you can buy it from the University of the West Indies bookshop, the UE bookshop. And you can also buy it in Barbados from the University of the West Indies bookshop, Cave Hill. And you can also buy it from Island Art and Framing, which is also in Jamaica, but online from Amazon or Barnes and Noble.
Thank you, Natalie.
All
Share
right.
with us, your favorite or the poem that you feel that fits this moment.
All right. I was going to say, I'm not sure I have a favorite, but let me read this one, which maybe is appropriate for today. So it's entitled Free. A free man can see you in his sunburnt ancestors, yet he does not know his kin, the names of the slaves that boarded the vessels, nor the legend of their king. A free woman can feel you in her tightly knotted cane rows, but she does not know her tribe, the rituals for babies born in drought, nor the courtship dance for a young bride. Somehow I have known you all my life, because the spirits followed me through the middle passage from a watery grave onto island shores. I rise up in a new world, free, yet still a slave. But Mother knows best. The wind rush that anchored me in Brixton capsized innumerable souls with my own. This village crippled folkways silenced the kalimba lilt of colourful voices into a dull monotone. I walk past generations firing up Electric Lane with gritty cultural fare, but shops no longer sell that brand of happiness here. I want to belong, to go home and come back, but there is no refuge from being born black.
Wow. Thank you so much. When did you write this piece? I love this piece a lot, and the way you finish it is extremely powerful. When did you write it?
Um, I don't know, maybe about 2, 3 years ago, I would say. A few years ago. Um, I studied in England for a long time, about 5 years when I was doing my doctoral studies, and I lived in Brixton, which is near and dear to me. And it's always a very interesting moment when you travel to other countries and you meet people of color, um, and when they meet you, because everybody makes assumptions when they meet you, and you try to explain where you're from, and everybody wants to know where you're from. Um, but it's always the most interesting experience for me when I meet Africans, because I always get a sense of brotherhood or sisterhood that is inexplicable. uh, and then I feel like somebody stole my story. you know it's very strange. I was at a conference just 2 weeks ago in Vienna, and I was standing in line to go into the UN building, and there was this just gorgeous African woman standing next to me, and I said, "You are so beautiful. Where are you from?" And she said, "I am from Ghana." I said, "Oh, you're one of us." And I thought, "Oh, we're one of you." and and we laughed, and I was explaining to her that there's so many retentions from the West Coast, because a lot of the Africans that came to Jamaica um, came from, Ghana, West Coast, and this area in particular. And I think it's the Twi language and the way we have a lot of the expressions retained in the patois. We have an echo. So we talk about something being chaka chaka. So when you say chaka chaka, it means that something is disorderly and confused. Or if you say that somebody is fenke fenke, it means that something is weak and not showing any strength. If you describe somebody as tuku tuku, it's somebody who is short and stocky. And there's so much vocabulary that comes from where this woman is from. And I really don't know anything about her, really. I would have to go look it up, right? But without knowing it, I'm carrying those memories in my language, in my culture that I know in Jamaica. And so this poem is inspired from that feeling of, you know, I suppose, trying to contextualize identity and what it means in a modern Jamaica without in any way leaving behind the African ancestry. So that's really what this poem is about.
I love it. I love it. I'm so glad I asked this follow-up question because, as a creator and an artist myself, and also as an organizer and an event producer, when you're doing something that has not been there yet, or something similar has been out there, and then eventually you put it out in the community, sometimes you're nervous. You don't know what response you're going to get. Sometimes you don't know whether you're actually going to make it, whether you're going to, whether it's going to happen, and so, this allows us to go a little deeper than the struggle, the language of the struggle, and how you are able to document, those moments, but also compare it to this interaction that you recently had with this Ghanaian. It just inspired me so much. Anyhow, I want to just for a moment include our audience members on Clubhouse in this conversation. So, Natalie, a couple of things I would love for you to think about while we listen to our audience members are take some notes so that at the end you can share, some of your favorite comments and reflections from the audience. And then two, think about the poem you will be closing the session with. And then lastly, how everyone can stay connected with you. How can we support your work? Because I would love everyone to leave this space, and head to whatever place you send us to go. Okay, all right. Steve, thank you for joining us. I would love for us to just listen to what you have to say as well. If you're joining us for the African Father in America podcast, you probably already know that this is a show where the voice of the audience is listened to in real time. We include our audience by using Clubhouse. So if you're watching on YouTube, you might be a little confused, as to where are these voices coming from. So that's where it's coming from. And, typically we hear from everyone who joins us. So if you are in the audience, I would love for you to come on stage. We are going to keep hand raising open and share with us where you're joining us from. Steve, share with us what you've heard during this conversation that, you'd like to respond to, and also what today's proverb from Somalia means to you. The proverb says, if you want to dismantle a hedge, remove one thorn at a time. Thank you so much, Steve.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Natalie. It's good to have you. And I hope every Tuesday we'll be having Natalie. It will be a Natalie day. So I'm joining from Kisumu, Kenya, from our offices in Manyata. Today is a good proverb, and to me, my understanding with this proverb is it gets a lot with our temper, emotion, and temper. We just need to know how to create a balance between these two, because if you can't manage and handle yourself properly, then you might be carried away emotionally. So personally, I think it's just all about finding a balance between your emotion and your temper, and knowing where you fit best before you handle any situation that comes your way, or before you deal with any situation that comes at hand. And I really want to appreciate insights from it, Natalie. I liked the poem she read out, and I can't wait to listen for the next poem that she'll be closing today's session with. Thank you, Simon, for having me. Back to you. That was my moment. I'm Steven again.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Steve, for your contribution. Natalie is taking notes. She's going to be able to share with us her thoughts in a moment. Prince, how are you doing? Share with us how things are with One Africa Forum, and also your response to today's proverb. If you want to dismantle a hedge, remove one thorn at a time. And if you have any comments to the conversation and poems we've been listening to from the incredible Natalie Kotesi, also share with us, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Simon. It's been a while, and it's good to see you here, meet you here again. And hello to everyone in the room. So thank you. And to our beautiful guest today, Natalie. Very wonderful story you have shared there, and I really do commend your effort as well in all you're doing. Let me just quickly jump into the proverb, and you're very correct. When I saw the room talking about emotional intelligence, and I was just waiting for the proverb to see how it correlates, and it really does, because if we all understand what a hedge is, and as the proverb says, you remove one thorn at a time. You understand that a hedge, is full of thorns, and if you decide not to be careful, deciding to take them one at a time, you just want to, pull out everything at once because you feel like you should do it. Then you might end up not just hurting yourself, but also others around you, and bringing unnecessary burden on others around you. So it's just also goes when they say little drops of water make an ocean. Little by little you get it done, and we must learn to control our emotions, and that is what that Proverbs, I believe, say. No matter how hard the situation is, or no matter how exciting or joyous the situation is, learn to control your emotion one step at a time. Take one thorn at a time. Deal with issues one point at a time. If you let it overwhelm you, you will lose control of yourself. It will not just affect you, but if you are in an organization, it will affect the members of your organization as well. And if it's within the family, of course, members of the family. So yes, I think this is one thing that everyone here should take home and get to learn and understand, that at every step of our life, there are hedges. There are several hedges at every phase of our lives, and the wisdom in taking out these hedges is dealing with it one thorn at a time. And that's really a beautiful one. So thank you very much, Simon. That's all I have to say for now. I'll stand by for more conversation. Thank you. Beautiful one.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Prince. And brother, how are you doing? Where are you joining us from? By the way, Prince, where are you located? I love just knowing where people are physically. So I've made that a tradition in this session.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm currently speaking from Johannesburg in South Africa.
Fantastic. So you can draw the map of the world and just see how global we are in this room right now. For me, that's one of the things that bring me to this conversation, just to visualize where each one of us is and how we share very much the same wisdom, from the same ancestors, actually. Brother, how are you doing? And share with us your perspectives on the proverb from Somalia. It says, if you want to dismantle a hedge, remove one thorn bush at a time. And also, if you have comments on my conversation with Natalie, please feel free. Thank you so much.
Peace and love, family. Again, gratitude to Simon for the platform, as well as your speaker, Natalie. I came into the conversation kind of late, but one thing I did hear what she said about her journey and getting her stuff out, it kind of reminds me of the proverb. Growing up, whenever I had my granddad or my grandma gave me something to do, and I would complain about it, be like, "Oh, that's too much. I don't want to do that." One thing my grandpa would always say is, the best way to walk to California. The best way to walk to New York, which was a great distance. He would say, take one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. So any large task you need to do is much easier when you take it out in small chunks. And that's what I see when I look at the proverb. And as far as the emotional intelligence part, there's something, since I've been hearing this new term that popped up, to me, it's almost like an oxymoron, the way that I look at it. When you spoke, I could see there was emotional awareness, but to me, emotional intelligence, I look at it like this, right? If a lady if a woman is in a relationship with a man, the man could be dragging her through the mud, cheating on her. Her emotions want to keep her there, but her intelligence tell her she need to be gone. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, making a decision based on, we understanding that your emotions change more than the weather, right? And whenever you make a decision based upon emotions, a lot of times you can make this more easily to make the wrong decision opposed to using reason and logic, which is your intelligence. So, I'm still trying to digest that whole emotional intelligence. Like I said, maybe emotional awareness, but I look at emotional intelligence as an oxymoron. But always gratitude for the wealth of knowledge and bringing forth the wisdom of the ancestors. Peace and love, family.
Yeah, peace and love to you, brother. Thank you so much for your perspectives. I'm truly, truly grateful. Brother, where are you joining us from?
I'm in the North Carolina territory, North Carolina of America, North America. Peace and love.
Peace and love to you, my brother. Thank you again for your continued support. Stella, how are you? What are your thoughts on this proverb, the conversation we've been having so far, and also share with us, where you're joining us from. Thanks a lot.
Hello, Simon. Hi, everyone. I'm Stella from Kenya, and today's proverb it really relates well to so many things like emotional intelligence, patience, listening. And as I was looking at it, I was just trying to remind myself how it is important to always think before you talk, because sometimes you can be so reactive to the situation when it comes, and you end up destroying the whole thing when you could have just listened more and tried to come up with a better solution. Again, it also reminds me of complaining a lot. Sometimes you just want to shout and complain when a problem comes along, instead of just sitting down and thinking through things and trying to come up with a solution instead, and being, let's say, more proactive rather than reactive to a situation, so that you don't end up using a lot of energy shouting when you could have just stayed calm and think things through. Yes, so that's what the proverb teaches me and reminds me of. Otherwise, thank you, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Stella. I'm also happy that you're here. Tiff, how are you doing? And share with us your perspectives on today's proverb. Today's proverb is actually from Somalia. It says, if you want to dismantle a hedge, remove one thorn bush at a time. And Tiff, if you have a moment, also share with us your thoughts on how Africa Day 2021 was, and why everyone should join us for Africa Day 2022. Thank you so much.
Grand Rising, Simon, it's so great to hear your voice and to be here in such a sacred space. It's always home when I come into the African Father in America's Club here with you, Simon, and everyone else as we gather together to honor our ancestors and to make them proud. Simon, I always honor you and salute you for your strength and for your consistency. You're going on 2 years now of hosting this room day in and day out. I know that you've taken a break, but it's probably been few and far in between. So your consistency, your tenacity, and your commitment to the work is admirable. And I honor you, King, for what you're doing and what you continue to do in your communities and worldwide. The proverb today, to me, it makes me think about how important it is to think before we act. I'm only 34 years old, but in my short time of living, I have learned that oftentimes, it's much better to just pause and breathe than to immediately react. That we can pull ourselves away from a situation or snatch other people away from a situation that can cause more damage than just taking the time to process and go through the motions and do the work, the hard work, the emotional work, the sweat, the sweat equity that I call it, that you have to do to really encourage and engage change. So often we want the end result without doing the work or taking the time to properly dissect and to carefully place things in their correct order and where they need to be in order for everyone to be free, in order for everyone to move forward. So when I hear this Proverbs, it just reminds me as I continue to get older, as I'm raising a young child, as I am a youth pastor, as I am who I am in my community, to really pause and think and plan before reacting to a situation where it might call for some sort of removing or disconnecting, or it may hurt a little bit, but it's possible for it not to hurt as much as it could be. I want to take this time to invite everyone out, everyone under the sound of my voice, those that will hear this later during the replays and on YouTube, to join us for Africa Day on the 25th. Last year was so monumental for me as being an African American. I thank God for Clubhouse because it allowed me to connect with Simon and so many others, that I'm able to hold their hands and journey through the motherland and all of the different aspects that entails with those who know the way. And for me, the most monumental thing was listening to music of the motherland in different languages, and how Simon would explain how important it is to listen to music in your original language, so that you can really feel it and learn it and understand what's being said. Because if you want to know what's going on in the world, listen to the music of the land. So that was my greatest takeaway from last year, and I'm so excited about this year, and I will see you all there. Thank you so much, Simon, for the space, and I will see y'all later. The homie is out.
Thank you so much, Tiff. I'm so grateful. And if you're meeting Tiff for the first time, Tiff and Jay and who else in this room, I think those were amongst some of the people that helped build this Daily African Proverbs room. And Natalie, who we are interviewing today, was also there during those early days of making this conversation happen. So this is like a little reunion, So anyhow, Natalie, we are going to come to you in just a moment. We have about 4 more guests to listen to, and then we'll come to you. I know we are coming up towards the end of the hour, but we are going to be all right. Now, Lavender, how are you doing? Where are you joining us from? And what are your perspectives on this proverb from Somalia, and also on the conversation we are having here with Natalie Kotesi? Okay, Lavender might be away from her phone, so we'll go on to Fred. Fred, it's always nice to see you and hear your voice. Share with us your perspectives on today's proverb.
How's it going? This is Fred from Ohio. I know everybody is having a good morning because you're actually on Clubhouse and in this room. So when I thought about the emotional intelligence is really taken, you have to operate it backwards. So you got the word emotional, then you have intelligence. You got to start from the back end to get to where you want to be emotionally. So emotional intelligence, it's the intelligence of your emotion. So intel is really understanding, taking the full scope of everything. And then you hit the emotion. The word emotion to me is energy and motion. It's your energy that causes things to move. And if you take the understanding of the environment that you're in, then you determine the motion that you want in that thing, and then you put the energy on it. So it's the understanding of the motion of your energy. Where do you want to be? Where do you want things to end up? How do you want things to start? The other part is if you want to dismantle a hedge, remove one thorn bush. Sometimes you have to realize you are the hedge. In this situation, if we don't have emotional intelligence, if we are in a situation, you are the hedge. And you have picked up certain things, these bushes in your brain that have formed this hedge. And in order to get to where you need to be, you need to take one thought, one process, one step into dismantling yourself and how you see things. So that's how I'm combining those two. And I yield the mic. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Fred, for your continued support. I'm just so happy that you're here. Jay, how are you? And what are your perspectives on today's proverb? Jay is also another creative writer and, someone that we are mutual friends with Natalie, whom we are interviewing today. Jay worked so hard a few months ago to get us to do something like this, so this is a full circle moment. Jay, I'll pass you the mic.
Thank you so much, dear brother Simon. And I echo absolutely everything Tiff said about you. I could not have said it better myself. And I keep forgetting that Tiff is 34 years old. She is such a bright and intelligent, articulate young lady. I miss Natalie. She is definitely an emotionally intelligent, capable, enriching, and talented poet who has such a rich understanding of her culture and can put it in words that it is truly a dessert and a delight to taste and to hear. Regarding the emotional intelligence, I had to chuckle when brother commented on what his grandfather said. And also, I totally agree about sometimes you can have that hedge built up around yourself, how you think and how you look at things. So I thought about it in terms of sometimes you can't see the trees for the forest. You're just so overwhelmed by the force of responsibilities and commitments. That you're required to address or deal with or handle that you forget that you don't have to deal with it all at one time. It's just dealing with one issue. What's the most important issue you need to address and how to address it in a way that is healthy and that's going to make a difference and it's the right approach. So I also agree you have to take a deep breath and think about it, not so much of the amount, but how you can tackle situations and circumstances and even relationships in a way that's easy for you to manage or to handle or to deal with. And I think about that in terms of gardening. And many of you in here are gardeners, like Brother Simon, is that if I just look at a bush, it's like, what am I going to do with this? but to actually look at it in its entirety and what is it that you want to do? How do you want it to look? And pruning it branch by branch to get the effect that you want. And I also agree that sometimes maybe it's not even worth it. Maybe it's something that needs to be rooted up, taken away. But in terms of those hedges, it's little by little, step by step. What's your goal? What do you want to accomplish? What do you hope to see at the end? This is Jane. I'm done speaking. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. I could listen to you even more. So thank you again for your amazing insights. Let's listen to Thought. Thought, how are you? And thank you again for joining us today. Share with us your perspectives on the proverb that we are grounding our conversation on. The proverb says that if you want to dismantle a hedge, remove one thorn bush at a time. This is a Somalia proverb. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, good morning, guys. And I'm joining you guys from the Bay Area, California. I walked in almost when Natalie was reading her poem, and that was a very nice piece. I love that. And Natalie, just so you know, I'm definitely going to get your book, and I'd love to read and know more about you. And back to the quote, when I listen to that quote, it reminds me a lot about life and, what we have to grow do as an individual to achieve certain goals as a person. And it boils down, especially to me, in terms of patience, your ability to be patient with yourself, ability to be patient, trying to achieve most of the things you want to do despite the odds, despite what life brings to you. Patience is not just the ability to wait, it's the ability to keep a good attitude while waiting, and this quote kind of resonates with me in such a way. And it also takes me to a Bible verse in Proverbs 15, verse 18, that says, hot tempers cause argument, but patience brings peace. So trying to imagine taking out thorns from a hedge and the pains and the injuries or what the thorns might do to your hands, but you keep the focus just to make sure you actually achieve the sole purpose of dismantling the hedge. And so I live with a quote that says, take one step at a time. It is the only way to conquer a mountain. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Thought. I'm just so grateful that you joined us today again, and I would love to see you more. So please, if you're willing, make sure you follow the club. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that's to everyone else, because we would love to grow this village. And we can only do that together, and that's what this proverb is saying too, So let's just build this space one person at a time, One other thing that I want to share is I want you to just pay attention for a moment. I want Natalie to share with you where you can get a copy of her book, and then she's going to read for us the last poem. And then Natalie, your closing remarks and some of the takeaways from our audience members' reflection.
Okay. Thanks, Simon. So just to reiterate that if you want to know a bit more about Sky Juice, you can go to there's a webpage, skyjuicebook.launch.com, skyjuicebook.launch.com. And if you want to send me a message, it's just natalie@skyjuicebook.launch.com. It has some very nice snippets of the book launch that was done last year. And there's also a very short video of a collaboration I did with a dance choreographer where she did movement to some of the poetry. And there is actually a copy of Free, the poem I read at the start of the program. It's actually on the website if you want to read the poem and spend a little bit more time with it. If you go to skyjuicebook.launch.com, you can find out a bit more about the work. And if you are interested in purchasing a copy of the book, then you can get a copy online from Amazon or Barnes & Noble online. And I thought, Simon, it might be nice to read something in Jamaican patois. So I'll do a short piece. It's actually the first poem at the start of Sky Juice, and it's entitled Dance Hall ID. One good thing about the dance, when the music turn up and the weed burn up, so the gal them bubble and the airy vibes double. Music is the only king of the dance hall. Sound man bust up the place with the Beanie Man dub plate. Schoolboy buy a spliff from the weed man in the mesh marina. Granny get vexed and tell the policeman, Babylon no say, a Dan man church this. So him tell her, Christian, loud the Rastaman and tanner your yard. Selector pull up Shabba for the dancehall queen in the pony printer. Clash broke out when the baby mother in the batty rider tried take away her video light. Baby mother skin out to buju upon the renter dread and the crowd blaze up with more fire. Renter dread grab her weave. Two, cane man draw machete. So dancehall queen jump on Dan man bite back and gone. All kind of people go a dance. When the music turn up and the weed burn up, so the girl them double and the airy vibes bubble.
Natalie, this is where our next interview starts, with this poem. I'm serious. So I'm so sad that we have to end this conversation right now, because this is an entire 1 hour conversation. This is a story. This whole poem is amazing, I followed every bit of it, because I love Jamaican patois and I wanted to make sure. I just love the story. The storytelling in this piece is just so amazing, and I could vividly follow, the whole story. It's like listening to reggae, but just your passion, your facial expressions as you are sharing this, it was very militant. Let me say that. Why did you write this piece? Why did you write it in patois? And why are you so passionate about this one?
You know what, Simon, I think that this is actually the snapshot of Jamaica that people imagine when they think about Jamaica. I think the first thing they think of is reggae music. And I think perhaps as an extension of that, we think about the dance hall and all the fantastic personalities you'll find in the dance hall. And I wanted to write a little bit about what that snapshot is about. And I think, Jamaica is so much more than a beach. Persons who think about it as a tourist destination, they're not wrong, but they certainly don't have the complete story. But also I think that we're a very dynamic people, and how we all intersect in the dance, because all kind of people go a dance, the Irie vibes bubble. So Irie is a Jamaican word, which I'm sure you know, Simon, which means everything is good, everything is all right. And Jamaicans really do say Irie a lot. And the etymology of Irie is a Rastafarian word, and the letter I refers to the person I. And Rastafarians use this in a very special way, where they try to put the person I into life and to breathe life into it. So instead of saying the word continually, they will say the word itinually. They use the letter I to replace the prefix of many words to put a Rasta identity or a Black identity on words to bring greater significance to language. And so the word Irie has been very much popularized as a Jamaican word that means no problems, man. Everything is all right. It's all good.
Thank you. I love it. I don't know if you know, but I was a reggae DJ for a number of years in Kenya. So So the only thing left is to come to Jamaica and make some reggae music in real life, you know.
We're ready
Yeah.
for you, Simon. We're
Yeah.
ready. Just let me go.
One day we'll make it happen. So share with us just maybe one of the reflections from our audience members that stood out the most for you before we wrap up our conversation today.
Absolutely. So I think what resonated for me was the comment about patience. Um, I think I think that's really quite poignant because I think very often we're so frustrated with wanting insta results. Everything must happen immediately that we lose sight of the benefit of exercising patience because then the reward is that much sweeter. And I think I was also very moved by the person who spoke about um, the significance of the hedge as a barrier or a hurdle and how we might feel hedged in, um, and why, therefore, it's necessary to very carefully remove the thorns, but also thinking of the hedge as a protection mechanism. That sometimes you don't want to destroy the whole thing, you actually need the hedge to protect you. So, how can you maintain the hedge but remove the danger? And so that also stood out for me. And I want to thank those persons for sharing that insight because I didn't quite have that perspective about the hedge when I heard the proverb first, but I found that very profound.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Natalie. One thing that I have been meaning to ask you since we started this conversation is whether I should be addressing you as Dr. Natalie Kotesi or Natalie Kotesi is just sufficient.
Natalie is just fine. I am Dr. Natalie Cortese. It's true, but Natalie is just fine.
Okay. Yeah, I feel that, artists who are also intellectuals or poets who are also intellectuals are so humble. They don't want to talk, they don't want to be professor and doctor and so on and so forth. So your humility from the beginning of this conversation until now, how you treated me has been great. I hope you felt treated well during our entire conversation. And also to our audience members, I hope that you took away, what we shared with you today. But there are the 7 takeaways from this conversation that I shared at the beginning of the room that we learned from this proverb. Again, the proverb that we are focusing our conversation on today is from Somalia, and it says, if you want to dismantle a hedge, remove one thorn bush at a time. And this proverb is also grounded, on how to build your emotional intelligence. So there are 7 takeaways I shared at the beginning of the room, and I want you to listen to this conversation again so that you grasp them in order for us to be able to let Natalie go and to be respectful of her time. So Natalie, again, thank you so much. And to all our audience members, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you follow the African Father in America Club on Clubhouse. Thank you so much. Natalie, have a beautiful... It's morning there too, right?
It's morning. It's 11 minutes past 9.
Yeah, so have some Jamaican coffee on me.
I
Anyhow,
already have
thank
my
you.
coffee or I wouldn't be here, Simon.
Anyhow, thank you so much. Take care. Peace.
Okay. Thank you so much.
African Father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.